have gotten ourselves our first EV. It is new to us. This is a 2018 Fiat 500e. And we're going to be adding some adventures with this vehicle onto our channel as well. The first test is to see how well it can handle a regular run to the grocery store. Anything to add?
I just want to point out that this is the interior of the vehicle and the dog is not included. Why do we have an EV?
Well, first off, can't do everything on the bike. Sometimes I have to carry stuff with me that's larger than will reasonably fit on a motorcycle. Sometimes it's too cold. I'm getting older, and riding when it's 30 degrees is no longer fun. And I don't really like riding in the rain. So there's days where there's rain, there's days where there's cold, there's days when I'm just tired in the morning and going to work. I need to drive. Reason 2, gas prices are getting too high. My daily driver that wasn't the bike was a truck, and it costs a lot of money to fill that truck up now.
How much money did you spend on gas last week?
$110 for 1 week.
That's a lot.
So that needed to go away. Reason number 3, we just got a crap ton of new solar panels on our roof of our house.
52 to be exact. It's a lot. We have a lot of sunshine and we wanted to capitalize on it, and since we have all that power, we might as well use it to power our vehicle instead of purchasing fossil fuels.
We weren't able to get battery backup with our system because we had to roll a new roof into it, and there wasn't room in the loan for the battery. So since we've got all this extra power that's going back to the power company, and they'll buy it back at a discounted rate, but it's there, might as well use it and use it to get around, and there we have it. And so the EV.
Well, actually, there is one other major reason. All of those reasons are valid and true, but the main reason why we got an EV is because Luke just wanted one.
Yeah, I did. The first one for me was going to a Harley Davidson demo and taking a ride on the Harley Livewire, and I had a lot of fun on that bike. I loved how quick it was. I loved the instant torque. I loved how when it was stopped, you couldn't even tell that it was running. No vibration or sound or anything. The problem is, as a motorcycle, it wasn't, and even now that it's the Livewire 1, it's not that much less money than my Challenger, and the Challenger's a much more practical motorcycle for me. I can't carry as much stuff on a Livewire or anything like that. And so I was thought, hey, that would be nice, but I'd have to, have like extra money for that. And then a couple of weeks later, Ford announced the F-150 Lightning, and I was like, oh, hey, now there's an electric truck that could just replace my truck. And then ever since, I've been immersing myself in other YouTube channels, EV road trips, EV reviews, tests, all of that stuff, and learned quite a bit. And
it's exciting new technology. Honestly, it really is time. It's past time for us as a global society to be using less fossil fuels and more renewable energies. The sun is just there, pumping down heat onto our planet, and we might as well use it to power our devices and our vehicles rather than continuing to rely on fossil fuels, which we needed in order to get into this, age of technology, but we need it much less now.
So why this car?
Good question. Why this car?
This is I don't want to say a first-gen EV because that's really just not a good description. This is really 10-year-old EV technology that is in this car. It was built as a compliance car for Fiat that was only available for sale in California and Oregon.
Compliance meaning that it was built in order to comply with regulations in California, which required all manufacturers to include a certain percentage of electric vehicles in their lineup.
Which is where the word compliance comes from. I'm not 100% clear on all of the ins and outs of the law, but I know that it was a legal requirement. And so they produced these in a limited number, about 2 to 3 to 4,000 per year from the 2013 model year to the 2019 model year. And when they sold them as leases that were really attractive, like $1,000 down, $200 a month, And so the used car market gets all these 3-year-old Fiats with low mileage on them. And that's what this is. This is a 3-year-old, it was turned in on its lease in December of 21, and it's February of 2022 right now. This car lived its life in Southern California with its previous owner, and then it was, traded in at the end of the lease. It was purchased by a dealership in Phoenix, Arizona, and all they did was turn right around and sell it at auction again. And this time it got sold to another dealership in Houston, Texas, and they held on to it for a couple of weeks and turned around and sold it at auction again. And then it ended up at a dealership in Grapevine, Texas, which is about 40 miles from here.
It was very sad. It was an orphan. Nobody wanted to adopt this poor vehicle.
And the trip computer for the guessometer on range is really confused because it spent so much of its life over the last couple of months on the back of a truck. But now it gets to go out and run about again, and the range computer's, catching up and getting used to being driven. But now this car lives in Texas, and we get plenty of sunshine and all of that stuff. Had a terrible experience at the dealership. That's a topic for a whole other video. But so let's see, what else can we say?
Well, the car was attractive, and I think part of the reason why it was such a good deal is that there weren't enough of them built for them to be very high in the Zeitgeist. Like, not very many people know that this car exists, but it was well built, and there are a lot of them at good prices and low mileage, and just people don't think to look for them. But Luke, because he is a research fiend, figured out that this was a great value. Do you want to talk about how much you paid for the car?
Well, here's the deal about the value on it. The car, when it was new, cost almost as much as a Tesla Model 3 when the Model 3s came out. And the Model 3 is a 4-door sedan that has 3 times the range of this car, which is why it didn't sell well and it had to have that super attractive lease. It also has an EPA range of 87 miles, which is not a whole heck of a lot. It also does not support DC fast charging, so road tripping with this car is nearly impossible.
Just don't do it. Don't do it.
So
we have other vehicles for road trips.
What this car is for the daily commute and somebody running around in a big city. And we don't live in a big city. You can probably tell out the window that we haven't passed much city on this entire drive. My daily commute is along country roads and is about 26 miles one way. So I'm going to be using a large amount of the range on a daily basis. The advantage that it doesn't support DC quick charging is that it can charge overnight at the lower rate of power, and that's gentler on the battery than DC fast charging is. So the battery is going to end up having a longer life. That makes this car one that's better for longevity. Because of how poorly they sold, their resale value is really low.
Extremely soft.
To get a Nissan Leaf for the price that I got this car for, it would have to be 7 years older than this one is, with twice as many miles on it. And so this was a good value for that. I missed out. If I had bought this car a year ago, I probably would have paid half what I paid for it now, but the market is stupid right now.
But even so, it was a great value. It's still going to cost us less money. How did you do it? Like, we're what we're spending on
the car payment is lower than what I was paying on. Is less money than I would spend on gas for my truck over the same period of time.
Yeah, it was just a no-brainer.
And so that's what it is.
Plus, the maintenance is practically non-existent on this thing. You don't have to do anything to it.
The maintenance schedule in the owner's manual says the most common thing that you have to do is clean and lube the sunroof tracks, and this one doesn't have a sunroof.
No sunroof.
So I don't have to worry about that. Aside from that, it's make sure that the coolant levels are topped off. This is another thing that makes this car really good as far as electric battery, is that the battery is liquid cooled.
Very important in Texas, where it gets extremely hot.
And so the battery shouldn't get extra warm. And the regenerative braking works extremely well. The friction brakes only kick in when this car's at 8 miles per hour or slower, so the brakes are going to last forever. The friction brakes are going to last forever.
And of course, it's an EV. You don't have to do oil changes.
No oil changes or transmission fluid.
And it has new tires on it.
It doesn't use power steering fluid. The power steering is electronic.
This vehicle had new tires when you bought it.
And so, yeah, it's replaced the tires. The 12-volt battery is eventually going to need replacement. And make sure the fluids are topped off. And then the other thing in the maintenance schedule is replace the cabin air filter every 20,000 miles.
Oh,
that's
no. Such a chore.
That's it. So the maintenance is extremely easy.
And cheap, important. Because a lot of times when you buy a vehicle, you think about the initial price of the vehicle and maybe the price of fuel or insurance, but a lot of people don't think too much about the maintenance charges. It can be pricey.
Yeah. But the bottom line is, can this car do what we need it to do, which is become my daily driver, get me on my 26-mile one-way round trip and back home on a single charge up overnight, and do it all over again the next day, and do it for a couple of years while I wait for my turn to come up on the Lightning reservation. I did reserve an F-150 Lightning, but I didn't do it until November of 2021, about 2 weeks before Ford cut reservations off. And so it's probably going to be somewhere in the middle of the 2024 model year before I even get an email saying I can order.
Yeah.
So this car's got to be able to keep doing this commute and not let the battery degrade so that it can keep doing that commute on a daily basis for at least 2 more years. But we're also checking to see if it can handle our weekend errands. So what are our weekend errands that we're in the middle of right now?
What we normally do every weekend is we pick up the little dog.
She really likes going on car rides.
She loves car rides. We fill up our water jugs our 5-gallon jugs for our water cooler.
I don't know if you can see that, the empty 5-gallon jug sitting in the back seat.
I don't think it's visible.
It's strapped in. It's wearing a seatbelt.
Right. For safety first.
I don't want it to spill in the car.
We usually fuel up our vehicle, which we will not be doing on this trip because we fuel up at home by plugging it in. We also normally wash the car, which we are going to be doing because when we received it from the dealer, it had just rained and it was a little spotty.
It was dirty.
Needs a bath.
And it needs windshield wipers.
Yes.
From the dealer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Don't even get us started on the dealer. We'll do another video on that. Also, we pick up our groceries. We do curbside delivery because...
Well, curbside pickup.
Sorry. We do curbside pickup because we're lazy. And we started doing it during the pandemic.
Well, we were doing it before the pandemic.
That's true. We started doing it right before the pandemic. But anyway, it's just cush, okay? It costs a little extra, but we save so much money by not making impulse buys, and we are so much happier not having to walk into the store and deal with all the people. So yeah, we do curbside because we're just that way. We're little pretty princesses and we can't be bothered to go into the store.
So what we're gonna do right now, especially since I haven't gotten a message from the grocery store about anything being out of stock, is we're going to go to the water mill and we're going to fill up this 5-gallon water jug. I have the back seat up behind me so it can hold the jug and the jug can be held in place with the seat belt and I don't have to worry about it falling over on some of these roads. And then the back seat behind Rachel is laid flat to maximize our cargo area for the groceries when those get put in. In between the water mill and picking the groceries up, we're going to go into the car wash and we'll put in a couple of little bits of footage of that and then wrap this video up on the way home and tell you how the car did.
Wrap it up with a bow.
So here we are at the grocery store. This is us, grocery shopping. Actually, we did our grocery shopping last night online. And we type in a code for a parking spot, and there's the dog. And now we wait for them to come out. I don't know if there's a remote release. I should look that up in the owner's manual. Anyway, we got our groceries, and so now we can go home.
Alrighty, let's do it to it, Stuart.
And when we get home, we'll show you what the back of the car looks like with all the groceries in it.
We don't buy huge amounts of groceries. Somebody else had one of these, and he said,
Brakes on.
"Oh yeah." Somebody else had one of these, and he said that he was not able to buy much in the way of groceries because he shops at Costco.
But also, with the seat up, you couldn't put much in there. The best description I've heard is it's more of a backpack than a trunk. But with the seat down, it's pretty
fine.
substantial.
It's fine. We'll show you when we get home.
So, aside from the guy who loaded it, leaving a bag sticking out of the trunk, here's how our groceries fit. So, can this car do a grocery run? The answer is, it just did.
Excellent.
Thanks for watching.